They laughed at his scars, until the human warrior turned and walked into legend. The place was alive with energy. Species from dozens of star systems moved in and out of rooms, sparring arenas, and simulation chambers. Some moved with grace, others with brute strength. But all of them shared one thing: confidence. Revan, however, had none. At least not the kind the others expected. His tall frame carried the marks of countless battles. Scars ran across his arms, shoulders, and neck, silent testimonies of the dangers he had faced. To most of the alien warriors around him, these marks were ugly, shameful, a sign of weakness. "Look at him," a tall, silver-skinned alien snickered to his companion. "Do they really let damaged humans fight alongside trained warriors?" The companion laughed. "I guess they are desperate if this is the best they have." Revan ignored them. He had learned long ago that words had no power over him. Scars were stories, and stories were private. Those who had never faced death could not understand their meaning. He walked past the training arenas, where the younger warriors practiced their skills. A group of small, sharp-eyed aliens watched him with curiosity. One whispered loudly enough for Revan to hear, "Do you think he can even lift a blade without falling over?" Revan slowed for a moment, his eyes scanning the arena. He remembered the first time he had earned each scar, the pain and the fear that had shaped him. Every mark on his body was a lesson, a memory of survival, a reminder that weakness was not in the body, but in the mind. The silver-skinned alien laughed again. "I bet he will trip over his own legs if the enemy attacks." Revan smiled faintly. It was not a smile of happiness, but of understanding. The laughers did not know the human spirit. They could not yet see how a scarred warrior could survive where perfection failed. A loud alarm suddenly rang through the outpost. The hallways vibrated with urgency. Every training session stopped. Hollow screens flashed red with the message: "Distress signal received from the Trillian star system. All available reconnaissance units prepare for deployment." The crowd of aliens grew tense. Some muttered complaints. Others shook their heads. The Trillian system was known to be dangerous. No allied ship had returned from there in months. Even seasoned warriors hesitated to volunteer. Revan did not hesitate. He stepped forward, his boots echoing in the hall. The laughter and whispers followed him like shadows, but he did not stop. "Human Revan," a commander called from a nearby platform, "are you volunteering for the mission?" Revan nodded. "I am ready." The commander's eyes widened slightly. Many had expected silence or a shake of the head. No one had expected Revan to step forward. "Very well," the commander said. "You will join an elite unit assembled for reconnaissance. Proceed to the transport bay immediately." The aliens around him muttered in disbelief. Some sneered. "He will get us all killed," one said under his breath. Revan ignored them. He did not need approval. He had a purpose greater than pride or fear. As he approached the transport bay, he noticed the other volunteers. There was Lyra, a tall winged alien whose reflexes were almost too fast to track. Her feathers shimmered with violet light. Karn, a four-armed soldier from the volcanic planet Malgar, whose skin glowed faintly from heat resistance. And Jin, a small but deadly telekinetic from a remote star cluster. They all looked at him with varying degrees of doubt. Some hid it behind polite nods, others did not. "You are the human," Lyra said finally, her voice carrying curiosity more than respect. "I thought humans were fragile." Revan's hand rested briefly on his scarred shoulder. "Fragile does not survive," he said simply. Lyra blinked, clearly unprepared for such a calm answer. Jin made a small sound that could have been amusement. Karn just grunted, probably considering whether this human was serious or foolish. The transport bay rumbled as a large spacecraft descended from the hangar ceiling. It was sleek, armed with defensive shields and capable of deep space travel. The mission ahead was dangerous. Everyone knew it. As the volunteers boarded, Revan's eyes scanned the craft's interior. He checked the equipment, the life support systems, and the weaponry. He moved with purpose. Each scar on his body seemed to guide him, a silent map of experience that no training simulation could teach. Once everyone was aboard, the commander gave the final briefing. "You are entering the Trillian system. We have lost contact with multiple colonies there. Your mission is reconnaissance. Avoid direct conflict if possible. Report everything." Revan listened quietly. His mind was already running scenarios, planning contingencies. The others seemed nervous. Some were fidgeting with their weapons, others checking their systems repeatedly. The ship's engines roared as it lifted off the outpost. The stars stretched into streaks of light as they entered faster than light travel. In the quiet of the ship's observation deck, Revan leaned against the wall and looked at the stars. He could feel the tension from the others. They were scared. He had been scared too many times, but fear was a tool, not a chain. Lyra came over and stood beside him. "You really do not seem afraid," she said softly. "I have been afraid," Revan replied, "many times, but I survived. That is all that matters." Lyra looked at his scars. They tell a story, don't they?" Revan nodded slightly. "Each one, every scar is a lesson. And every lesson is worth more than words can say." The rest of the journey passed quietly, but the unease never left the group. By the time they approached the Trelion system, tension was thick in the air. The sensors picked up drifting wreckage and faint signals of life, but nothing concrete. "Looks abandoned," Jin said, scanning the main display. "Too quiet." Revan's gaze remained steady. "Quiet does not mean empty. Be ready for anything." As the ship descended toward the first planet of the system, alarms suddenly blared. A small cluster of drones emerged from behind a nearby asteroid belt. They were armed and fast. The human warrior did not flinch. "Prepare for contact," the captain called. Revan moved toward the weapons console. His hands were steady, his mind clear. He instructed the team on positioning, timing, and angles. The aliens followed, though still with doubt. When the first drones attacked, Revan fired with precision. The scarred human was faster than anyone expected. Every shot, every movement showed experience that no simulator could teach. One by one, the drones fell, their wreckage drifting into space. After the attack, the aliens looked at him in a new light. Lyra's eyes widened. You are amazing," she whispered. Revan shook his head. "This is nothing. The real danger is still ahead." As the ship landed on the planet's surface, the team prepared to explore. The ground was rocky, scarred by ancient tectonic activity. Strange lights flickered in the distance, hinting at abandoned colonies or hidden dangers. Revan led the group forward. His scars, his experiences, guided each step. He knew pain, he knew survival, and he knew what it meant to face the unknown. The others followed, some reluctantly, some with awe. They had mocked him at first. Now they could not deny his strength. The journey across the planet's surface had just begun. The Trelion system was quiet, but danger waited in every shadow. And the human warrior with his marked body walked forward, ready to face it all. For the first time, some of the aliens began to realize that what they once saw as weakness might be the strongest weapon of all. And so the legend of Revan, the scarred human, quietly began. The planet below the Trelion system was silent, but the air carried a strange tension. The team stepped carefully across the rocky terrain, their boots crunching over jagged stones. The wind howled through canyons that had been carved by ancient forces, and strange lights flickered on the horizon. Revan led the way. His senses were sharpened from years of surviving battles that would have killed others. He moved deliberately, scanning the terrain, noting potential cover, and marking paths where ambushes could be set. The alien team members followed him, though some did so reluctantly. Lyra's wings twitched nervously as she moved. "This place, it feels wrong," she whispered. Revan did not respond. Words were useless when survival depended on action. His eyes remained fixed ahead. Every shadow could hide danger. Every sound could signal a trap. The first sign of trouble appeared when Jin, the small telekinetic, stopped suddenly. Her eyes were wide. "There's movement," she said. She extended her hands, and objects nearby began to float slightly, reacting to her abilities. From the distance, a faint shimmer grew stronger. Strange drones, similar to the ones they had encountered in orbit, emerged from behind jagged cliffs. But these were different, larger, faster, and clearly designed for ambush. Karn growled. "So the system isn't empty after all." Revan crouched, motioning for the team to take cover behind rocks. "Spread out," he said. "Use the terrain, wait for the right moment." The aliens hesitated. Their training had taught them to strike first, to use brute force, and to attack aggressively. But Revan had taught them a different lesson in silence. Patience could save lives where recklessness led to death. When the first drones moved into view, Revan acted. He fired carefully, taking down one drone without revealing his position. The others watched in surprise. His movements were precise, almost too calm for the situation. "Impressive," Lyra whispered. "He doesn't even panic." Revan's voice was quiet but firm. "Panic is useless. Control your fear or it controls you." The drones advanced, faster and in greater numbers. Revan signaled the team to move through a narrow canyon, funneling the drones into a trap. Using the natural curves of the rocks, he led the attackers into a kill zone. Lyra's wings glimmered as she leapt into the air, striking drones mid-flight with lightning-fast blows. Karn used his forearms to block attacks and send drones crashing into each other. Jin's telekinetic power flung debris at enemies, shattering their sensors. Despite their efforts, the drones were relentless. They adapted quickly, forcing the team to retreat again and again. Many of the aliens began to show signs of fear. Some whispered doubts. "Are we going to make it?" one asked quietly. Revan did not answer. Instead, he pressed forward, showing by example how to survive. One by one, he drew the drones away from the vulnerable, picking them off with careful strikes. Every movement, every decision reflected lessons learned the hard way, lessons his scars had taught him. Finally, the team reached a safer location, the ruins of a collapsed research station. The building was partially buried in the rocky soil, its walls cracked and faded. The team took cover, catching their breath. "Human," Karn said, "how did you know to lead them this way?" Revan examined the ruins. "Experience," he said simply, "and observation. They are fast but predictable in patterns. Wait, watch, act, that is all." Lyra looked at him, eyes wide with admiration. "Your scars, they don't mark weakness, they mark survival." Revan's gaze shifted to his own arms. He flexed his hands slowly. "Each scar has a story, each story has a lesson. Those who survive listen to the lessons." The team studied the ruins, searching for clues about what had happened to the system. Broken machinery, scorched walls, and strange symbols hinted at battles long past. The place had been abandoned for years, but danger still lingered in its shadow. Jin touched a console with her fingers, scanning it for energy signatures. "There's still some power," she said. "Something is here, something alive." Revan crouched beside her. "Then we must be careful, move quietly, check each room before entering." The team advanced slowly, following Revan's lead. The halls of the research station were dark and cold. Strange noises echoed off the walls. Every shadow seemed alive. Every corner held the possibility of ambush. Suddenly, a loud crash came from the ceiling. Debris fell, narrowly missing Lyra. She hissed, readying her wings for flight. Revan raised a hand, signaling her to stay. From the darkness, a massive creature emerged. Its body was mechanical and organic, a hybrid of alien technology and living tissue. It had glowing red eyes and sharp claws. The team froze, but Revan did not flinch. "Everyone stay calm," he said. "Do not rush, observe first." The creature growled and lunged. Revan moved faster than anyone expected. His body twisted, dodging the claws, and he struck the creature in a weak spot, learned from his careful observation. Sparks flew as metal clashed with metal. Lyra attacked from above, her wings striking the creature's sensors. Karn used his strength to hurl debris, forcing the creature back. Jin's telekinesis flung rubble, striking it with precise force. But the creature adapted quickly. It moved faster, striking with a combination of claws and energy blasts. Several of the aliens were injured, their confidence shaken. Revan saw the pattern. He noticed how the creature reacted to each strike. "Stop attacking randomly," he shouted. "Let it come to us. Focus on weak points. Do not waste energy." The team hesitated, then followed his orders. Revan led them in a coordinated strike, exploiting the creature's blind spots. Each of his moves reflected lessons his scars had taught him, painful lessons of survival, endurance, and timing. Finally, the creature collapsed, sparks flying as its energy core shut down. The team stared at Revan in awe. For the first time, their doubt was replaced by respect. Lyra stepped forward. You saved us." Revan shook his head. "We saved each other. I just know how to survive." The team spent the next hours repairing their injuries and assessing the station. They found logs of the original researchers, accounts of experiments and attacks that had gone horribly wrong. The system had once been a hub of scientific discovery, but now it was a graveyard of failure. Revan studied the logs carefully. "This system is dangerous," he said. "We are lucky to have survived this far, but danger is not over. Others will come, and we must be ready." The aliens nodded, silently acknowledging his wisdom. What they had once seen as weakness was now the foundation of their hope. Night fell over the Trelian planet. The stars shone brightly above, distant and cold. Revan sat outside the ruins, looking at the horizon. The wind carried the smell of dust and decay, but also the faint promise of survival. Lyra joined him. "Do you ever feel afraid?" she asked quietly. Revan looked at the stars. "Fear is part of life," he said, "but it does not control me. I use it to sharpen my mind, to guide my actions. Without fear, I would be careless. Without scars, I would not know how to survive." Lyra studied him for a moment, then nodded. "I think I understand now. Strength is not in perfection, it is in endurance." Revan smiled faintly. "Exactly, and endurance is what keeps us alive." The team rested that night, but sleep was uneasy. Every shadow, every sound could signal another attack. Revan kept watch, his eyes scanning the horizon, ready to act at a moment's notice. When dawn broke, the Trelian planet seemed calm, almost peaceful, but Revan knew better. Danger was patient. It waited, hiding in the quiet, testing the unprepared. As they prepared to move deeper into the system, the aliens followed Revan willingly now. Doubt had been replaced with trust. Respect had been earned not through words, but through action. The human warrior had led them through the first trial. The scars they had mocked were now badges of experience, proof that he could survive where others might fall. And the Trelian system was only the beginning. Revan knew that the real trial lay ahead. The system held secrets, hidden forces, and enemies that were stronger than anything they had yet faced. But he also knew that survival depended on calm, focus, and courage. The team moved forward, guided by the quiet determination of the human warrior who had once been mocked. Each step was careful, deliberate, and full of purpose. And as they entered deeper into the Trelian system, the legend of Revan, the scarred human, quietly grew. The galaxy had yet to see what he was truly capable of. The Trelian system was more dangerous than anyone had imagined. As Revan and his team advanced deeper into the ruins of the once thriving colonies, a sense of unease settled over them. The air was thin and cold, carrying a faint metallic tang that made the aliens uncomfortable. Even the ground seemed to shift subtly beneath their feet, as if warning them that danger was never far away. Revan walked at the front, scanning every shadow and listening to every sound. His body moved like a machine, precise, steady, and ready. Every scar on his arms, shoulders, and neck was more than a mark. They were reminders of battles he had survived, lessons learned the hard way. His calm presence reassured the others, though some were still hesitant to trust fully. "This system, it feels alive," Lyra whispered, her violet wings folding slightly in tension. "Like it's watching us." Revan did not answer. Observation was more important than words. He had learned long ago that talk could waste time and hesitation could cost lives. Every instinct he had sharpened over years of combat was alert. As they reached the remains of a central city, the team saw the evidence of the enemy's presence. Skyscrapers were partially collapsed, and strange alien machines patrolled the streets. It was clear the Trelian system had once been under attack, but the survivors, or what remained, were still here watching, waiting. Karn growled. "We are walking into a trap, I can feel it." "Good instincts," Revan said quietly. "Trust them, but control them. Fear is only useful if it guides action." Suddenly, alarms blared from the nearby ruins. Red lights flashed, and the ground trembled as a massive shadow emerged from the wreckage. The Trelian enemy had arrived, a mechanized force with armor stronger than anything the team had faced. Its limbs were long and fast, weapons glinting in the weak light. Lyra spread her wings instantly, ready to take flight. Jin's hands glowed with telekinetic energy, and Karn flexed his arms, preparing for battle. Revan's gaze sharpened. This was the moment they had been preparing for. "Hold positions," he commanded. "Do not charge, wait for their move." The enemy moved with terrifying speed, sending waves of mechanical soldiers forward. The aliens in Revan's team were strong, but even their strength had limits. Several attackers struck at once, pushing them back. Revan did not panic. He moved with the calm efficiency that had earned him his scars. Every motion was deliberate, dodging a strike here, blocking an attack there. He struck weak points in the enemy's armor, creating openings for his team to exploit. Lyra attacked from the air, striking with speed and precision. Karn used his forearms to throw debris and crush enemies in the streets. Jin manipulated objects around them, hurling heavy debris to block the enemy's advance. Despite their efforts, the enemy was relentless. The mechanical soldiers adapted quickly, learning from each strike. They were faster, stronger, and more coordinated than anything the team had expected. "Fall back," one alien shouted. "We can't hold them." Revan shook his head. "Do not panic, follow me. Use the streets and ruins. Make them come to us." He led the team into narrow alleyways and broken corridors, forcing the enemy to move through tight spaces where their strength was limited. His knowledge of survival and battlefield tactics allowed them to turn the situation from hopeless to manageable. One by one, the team followed his example. They became a coordinated unit, moving in perfect harmony. Lyra struck from above, Karn blocked attacks while striking back, and Jin used telekinesis to manipulate the environment. Revan led them all, using his experience to anticipate enemy movements and exploit their weaknesses. Even then, danger was constant. One mechanical soldier lunged at Lyra, claws extended. Revan acted instantly, diving in front of her and deflecting the attack with a precise strike. Sparks flew, and the machine staggered, giving Lyra the chance to retaliate. "Are you hurt?" Lyra asked, her voice edged with concern. "Minor," Revan replied, moving his arm back into position. "Focus, there is no time for pain." The battle raged on for hours, each wave of enemy soldiers more dangerous than the last. The team was exhausted, but Revan never wavered. His calmness, his focus, and his knowledge guided them through the chaos. Every scar on his body reminded him of previous battles, teaching him endurance, patience, and strategy. At one point, a massive mechanical brute appeared, larger than any of the soldiers they had faced. Its energy core glowed red, and it moved with terrifying speed. Several team members froze, unsure how to respond. Revan stepped forward. "Do not fight it alone, use teamwork. Distract, weaken, and strike together." The team hesitated but followed his lead. Lyra flew above, drawing its attention. Karn attacked from the side, using his strength to slow it down. Jin used telekinesis to throw debris at its sensors. Revan struck precisely at a weak point in its armor, learned from careful observation. The machine roared, sparks flying as it staggered. Revan moved quickly, striking again and again, never letting it regain balance. Finally, the massive enemy fell, defeated by the coordinated efforts of the human warrior and his team. The team stared at Revan in awe. What they had once seen as a scarred, weak human was now the strongest presence on the battlefield. Every scar on his body was a lesson in survival and strategy, and now they could see its value firsthand. Lyra approached him. You are incredible," she said, her wings folding nervously. Revan shook his head. "Incredible, no, experienced, patient, focused, that is all." The battle was not over, but the team had survived the first major wave of attacks. They moved through the ruins carefully, repairing injuries and catching their breath. The Trallian system had proven to be more dangerous than anyone expected. Revan studied the enemy logs they found in one of the destroyed buildings. The machines had been programmed for hunting, learning from past failures and adapting quickly. They would continue to grow stronger if left unchecked. "We are dealing with a force that does not tire," Revan said. "We must stay alert. Every move counts. Do not underestimate them again." The team nodded, their respect for the human warrior growing with each word and action. What they had once seen as weakness, the scars he carried, was now a symbol of endurance and survival. Night fell on the Trallian planet. The ruins were silent, but Revan knew better. Danger waited in the shadows, testing the unprepared. He kept watch while the others rested, scanning every movement and listening for the faintest sound of an approaching threat. Lyra joined him quietly. "Do you ever feel afraid?" she asked. Revan looked at her, his eyes calm. "Fear is always there. It is a tool, not a chain. It tells us what to watch, what to avoid, what to prepare for, but it does not control me." Lyra nodded slowly, understanding finally dawning. "And your scars, they remind you of all you have survived." Revan flexed his hands. "Every scar is a lesson. Every lesson is a chance to live." As dawn broke, the team prepared to move further into the system. The first major battle had tested them, but it had also united them. The aliens who had doubted Revan now followed him willingly, trusting his experience and judgment. The human warrior had led them through fire, showing that survival was not about strength alone, but about patience, focus, and endurance. The Trallian system was still dangerous, but the team had learned to rely on each other and on Revan's leadership. They moved forward into the unknown, their steps careful but determined. The Trallian system held more secrets, more dangers, and perhaps even more enemies. But Revan and his team were ready. Every scar on his body was a reminder that survival was earned, not given. And as they advanced deeper into the system, the legend of Revan, the scarred human, grew quietly, but powerfully among the stars. The galaxy would soon see what a determined human could achieve when experience, patience, and courage combined. The ruins of the Trelian colonies stretched like jagged teeth across the horizon. Revan and his team moved cautiously, alert for any sign of the enemy. The previous battles had been difficult, but the team had survived, and in the process, they had begun to trust the human warrior. Every scar on his body spoke of lessons learned, and every move he made reflected the experience of countless encounters with danger. Lyra's wings were folded tightly against her back as she walked beside Revan. "I've never seen anyone fight like you," she said quietly. "You don't just survive, you make others survive too." Revan's eyes scanned the ruins. Survival is not about fighting alone. It is about guiding others, making every action count. The team reached a central plaza, where the remains of a once grand tower rose above the rubble. Energy readings on Jin's instruments spiked, signaling the presence of a powerful enemy. The readings indicated not just soldiers, but a commander-level force, a machine or creature capable of directing attacks and adapting in real time. Karn's forearms flexed, preparing for combat. "That must be the one controlling all the others," he growled. "We face it, we die." Revan crouched behind a fallen wall, considering the layout. "Then we fight smart, not hard. We use strategy, patience, and every resource we have." Lyra looked at him in surprise. "You really think humans can outsmart them?" Revan's scars caught the weak sunlight. "Humans survive by thinking, by learning, and by enduring. Strength is not just muscle. It is preparation, observation, and timing. That is how we win." The enemy commander appeared suddenly, stepping from the shadows. It was massive, taller than any warrior they had seen, with armor that seemed almost indestructible and a weapon capable of firing energy blasts with deadly precision. Its red eyes glowed like coals, scanning the ruins for the intruders. "Hold position," Revan commanded. "Let it make the first move. Watch its patterns. Do not engage recklessly." The team obeyed, though some were shaking with fear. The commander fired, and energy blasts tore through the ruins, sending rubble flying. The team scattered, taking cover behind debris, but Revan remained calm. Every shot was predictable. Every movement had a rhythm. "Now," he whispered, "we move together, strike its weak points in sequence. Timing is everything." Lyra soared above, drawing the commander's attention. Karn moved to the flank, using his strength to distract and block attacks. Jin manipulated debris with telekinesis, sending heavy rubble toward the enemy's joints and sensors. Revan struck precisely at the exposed circuits beneath its armor. The commander roared, staggering under the coordinated attack. But it quickly adapted, changing tactics and firing energy blasts in unpredictable patterns. The team was forced to retreat and regroup. Several soldiers were injured, though none were fatal. "Focus," Revan shouted, moving between them to guide their actions. "Do not panic, adapt, remember the lessons." The team followed his instructions carefully. Each movement was coordinated, each strike was deliberate. The commander was powerful, but it could not keep up with the human strategy. Every scar on Revan's body told a story of endurance, guiding his decisions and teaching the team how to survive. Hours passed. The battle dragged on, testing every ounce of strength, skill, and patience the team possessed. The Trelian system seemed to resist them, but Revan's focus never wavered. He knew that leadership was not about being the strongest. It was about guiding others to survive when the odds were against them. Finally, a moment of opportunity appeared. The commander overextended, exposing a weak point in its armor. Revan seized the chance, signaling the team to strike in unison. Lyra dove from above, Karn flung debris, Jin used telekinesis to destabilize its core, and Revan struck the critical joint with precise force. The commander reeled, sparks flying from exposed circuits. Its weapon faltered, and the team pressed the advantage. Blow after blow weakened the machine until it collapsed, its red eyes dimming to black. The team stood in stunned silence. The enemy commander, the one force that had controlled countless others, was defeated. The alien warriors who had once mocked Revan now looked at him with awe and respect. You did it," Lyra whispered, wings trembling. "You led us and we survived." Revan shook his head. "We survived together, I just knew how to keep us alive." Karn stepped forward, nodding in agreement. "Your scars, they are not marks of weakness. They are proof of survival. You have turned your pain into strength for all of us." Revan's gaze shifted to the horizon, where more ruins awaited exploration. "This system is dangerous," he said. There may be others, we cannot assume victory is final, but we have learned something important. Humans do not give up and we adapt. That is our strength. Lyra looked at him, understanding dawning. You are more than a warrior. You are a guide, a teacher, a leader. Revan shook his head again, modestly. I am only human, but humans endure, and endurance wins wars. The team spent the following hours exploring the remains of the city, collecting data and recovering supplies. The Trelian system held secrets that could prove valuable for other missions. Despite their exhaustion, they worked diligently, knowing that the safety of the galaxy might depend on their discoveries. Night fell, and the stars shone cold and distant above the ruins. Revan sat quietly, his body still tense from battle, but his mind clear. He reviewed every movement, every decision, every lesson learned from the fight. Each scar on his body reminded him that survival was earned, not given. Lyra joined him, settling beside him on a rock. Do you ever tire? She asked softly. Even after all that fighting, all those battles? Revan looked at the stars, thoughtful. Tired, yes, but exhaustion is temporary. Lessons and experience last forever. The body may ache, but the mind stays sharp. That is how humans endure. Lyra studied him in silence, realizing the depth of his wisdom. The alien warriors who had once mocked him could not yet comprehend it fully, but she had begun to understand. Your scars, they are not just injuries, she said finally. They are maps. They tell you where danger is and how to survive it. Revan nodded. Exactly, and now those lessons guide all of us. We survived the first real test, but the system is not yet safe. Others may come, stronger, smarter, or faster. We must be ready. The next day, the team moved further into the system, deeper into the ruins and the remnants of the colonies. Every step was cautious, every movement deliberate. Revan led them through narrow streets, hidden corridors, and underground tunnels, always alert for traps or ambushes. At one point, they encountered a hidden energy field blocking their path. The technology was unfamiliar, but Jin quickly analyzed it. It's a defense system, she said. We need to disable it or we cannot proceed. Revan crouched beside her. Patience and observation. Do not rush, learn its pattern and strike when it is vulnerable. Hours of careful work passed. The aliens watched in admiration as Revan guided Jin in dismantling the system. Every decision was precise, every action calculated. Finally, the field deactivated and the path forward opened. This is why we follow you, Karn said quietly. You see what others cannot and you act when it matters most. Revan looked at the team, his expression calm. We survive because we work together. My experience helps, but it is only useful if you trust it and each other. That is how humans endure, and that is how legends are born. As the team moved forward into the heart of the Trelian system, they knew that even greater dangers awaited. But now, they were united. They had faced near-impossible odds and survived. They had witnessed the strength and wisdom of a scarred human warrior, and they understood that what had once been mocked was now a source of hope and guidance. Revan led them onward, every step deliberate, every decision guided by experience, patience, and courage. The Trelian system was still full of danger, but the human warrior had turned doubt into determination, fear into strategy, and scars into lessons for survival. The galaxy would soon see that humans, with endurance, intelligence, and courage, could turn the tide of any battle, even against overwhelming odds. And so the legend of Revan, the scarred human, grew stronger, carried forward by those who had survived under his guidance. The Trelian system was quiet now, but the calm was only temporary. Revan and his team had survived the previous battles, but they knew the real challenge was still ahead. The energy readings in the central city showed activity far stronger than anything they had encountered. A massive force gathering, likely planning an attack that could endanger the galaxy itself. Revan surveyed the ruined city from a hilltop. His eyes moved over the jagged skyline, the broken towers, and the empty streets below. Every scar on his body told him what to expect. Pain, struggle, and endurance had shaped him into the warrior he had become. But this would be the ultimate test. Lyra hovered beside him, wings tense. We've survived so much already. Are we ready for this? Revan's eyes met hers, calm, determined, unshaken. We are ready, but we must be careful. Strength alone will not win this battle. Strategy, patience, and coordination will. Karn, four arms folded across his chest, grunted. Strategy is fine, but we'll need action too. These things won't wait while we think. True, Revan said, but rushing is how we die. Remember what we have learned, observe, adapt, and strike where it counts. The team advanced carefully through the streets, moving in formation. Each member had learned from the earlier battles, trusting Revan's guidance. Even the aliens who had once doubted him now followed his instructions without hesitation. The scarred human had become the center of their strategy, their hope, and their survival. As they approached the city center, a massive army of mechanical soldiers emerged from the shadows. The enemy commander they had defeated before had left reinforcements behind, more advanced and coordinated than the first wave. The streets echoed with the mechanical clatter of countless soldiers moving toward them. Revan's body tensed, but his mind remained clear. "Positions," he shouted. "We fight smart, use the terrain, use each other, and strike together." Lyra took to the air, diving between buildings, distracting the soldiers and drawing their fire. Karn moved along the flanks, using his strength and speed to block attackers and protect weaker team members. Jin manipulated rubble telekinetically, creating barriers and projectiles that disrupted enemy formations. Revan moved like a shadow among them, striking precisely at weak points, guiding the team's actions with experience and instinct. His scars were not just marks. They were lessons learned from past encounters, each one giving him insight into survival and strategy. The battle raged for hours. Energy blasts tore through buildings, sparks flew as metal collided with metal, and debris rained down from broken towers. Yet Revan's leadership kept the team coordinated. Each attack, each movement was part of a carefully planned sequence. Where others panicked, they now moved with purpose. Where others froze, they now acted with precision. At one point, a massive enemy siege machine broke through the barricade, charging directly at the team. Its armor was nearly impenetrable, and its weapons could strike with deadly speed. "Focus," Revan shouted. "Do not engage it directly, use its size against it. Guide it into the narrow streets." The team followed his instructions flawlessly. The machine moved blindly into a tight corridor, where its size became a disadvantage. Lyra dove from above, striking at exposed circuits. Karn struck from behind, using brute force to destabilize its balance. Jin used telekinesis to hurl heavy rubble, slowing its movement. Revan struck precisely at its joints, learned from careful observation. The siege machine toppled, crashing against the walls of the city. Sparks flew and its weapons fell silent. The team had survived another deadly encounter, but the enemy was not finished yet. Through the chaos, Revan spotted the main enemy base in the heart of the city. It pulsed with energy, signaling the presence of the central commander and its most powerful soldiers. "This is it," he said quietly. "The final battle. We move together, strike together, and we end this now." The team advanced with caution. The streets were littered with debris, fallen soldiers, and mechanical remnants of the previous waves. The enemy seemed to anticipate their every move, but Revan's calm mind guided the team. Every scar on his body was a reminder of endurance, every lesson a tool to survive. As they reached the main plaza, the enemy commander appeared, larger, more powerful, and more intimidating than before. Its red eyes glowed, scanning the team with intelligence and malice. Revan stepped forward, his posture calm and steady. "Stay close, watch its patterns, trust each other." The commander fired, energy blasts tearing through the plaza. The team scattered, using cover and moving in coordinated patterns. Lyra attacked from above, Karn flanked, Jin used telekinesis to control debris, and Revan struck at critical weak points with precision. The battle was brutal. The enemy adapted quickly, forcing the team to think faster, move smarter, and act with perfect timing. Injuries were sustained, but no one gave up. Revan's guidance was relentless. Each scar on his body reminded him that pain was temporary, but survival required focus, strategy, and endurance. Hours passed. The team exhausted every resource, every tactic they had. But the enemy commander remained standing, adapting to every move, seemingly unstoppable. Revan stepped back, analyzing the battlefield. He saw the rhythm, the pattern of attacks, the weakness hidden beneath the armor. "This is it," he said. "Focus your strikes, coordinate every attack. We end it now together." The team followed his orders flawlessly. Lyra dove from above, distracting the commander. Karn struck at its flanks, breaking armor segments. Jin used telekinesis to destabilize the core, and Revan moved in, striking precisely at the critical joint he had identified. Sparks flew, the commander staggered, and the final sequence of attacks brought it down. The enemy commander collapsed, its red eyes dimming. The mechanical army around it shut down, deactivated, or fled. The Trelion system was finally free from immediate danger. The team stood in silence, exhausted but victorious. The aliens who had once mocked Revan now looked at him with awe and respect. Lyra approached him, her wings folding as she spoke. You led us through impossible odds. You survived where none thought possible." Revan shook his head. "I did not survive alone. We survived together. My experience guides, but it is only useful because you trusted it and each other." Karn nodded, his four arms folded in respect. "Your scars, they are not marks of weakness. They are proof of endurance. You have shown us that humans can turn pain into strength." Revan looked at the horizon, where the Trelion cities were in ruins but no longer under threat. "We have won this battle, but we must remain vigilant. Survival is never guaranteed, but for now, we endure." The team spent the following days repairing injuries, salvaging resources, and gathering data from the Trelion colonies. They found advanced technology, knowledge, and records of the enemy's past attacks. The system that had once been dangerous was now a source of hope and opportunity for the galaxy. As they prepared to return to the Interstellar outpost, Revan stood quietly, looking at his team. Lyra, Karn, and Jin had grown stronger, wiser, and more confident under his guidance. What had once been mockery and doubt was now respect and trust. The journey back was calm, but the legend of Revan had already begun to spread. Stories of the scarred human who led an alien team through impossible battles circulated across star systems. Back at the outpost, the aliens who had once laughed at him now stood in silence. The human warrior who had been mocked, dismissed, and underestimated had turned into a symbol of endurance, strategy, and courage. "Your scars, they tell a story," Lyra said softly, "a story that inspires everyone." Revan shook his head. "They are not for inspiration. They are lessons. Survival teaches more than words ever could. Legends are born from action, from enduring, and from protecting others when it matters most." A statue was proposed in his honor, but Revan declined. "Legends should inspire action, not worship," he said. "If someone remembers me, let it be for what they can do, not what they admire." Young recruits began to mark their armor with symbols of endurance, inspired by the story of Revan. Alien and human alike learned that strength was not in perfection, but in survival, intelligence, and perseverance. Revan walked quietly through the outpost, no longer the outcast or the scarred human they had once mocked. He walked as a warrior, a guide, and a living legend. The galaxy had witnessed what humanity could achieve when courage, patience, and resilience combined. And as he looked at the stars, Revan knew the journey was not over. There would be more battles, more dangers, more systems to protect. But for now, he had walked into legend, proof that humans could endure, inspire, and lead when the odds seemed impossible. The galaxy would never forget the scarred human who had turned laughter into respect, doubt into trust, and pain into legend. Revan's scars, once mocked, now shone as symbols of courage, endurance, and humanity itself. The human warrior had survived the Trelion system. The human warrior had turned trials into triumphs, and the human warrior had walked into legend.